Hi, I'm Angela Walters from quiltingismytherapy.com, and I'm here with a quick tutorial on using rulers with your sit-down machine. Now before we start with the tutorial, I want to answer a few questions that you might be thinking. First of all, what is a sit-down machine? I'm talking about a sewing machine that you're using in your house, or a sit-down long arm, or basically any machine in which you're moving the quilt instead of the machine. And I'm talking about specific rulers. Now there's a lot of different rulers on the market. If you start looking, I'm sure you're going to quickly become overwhelmed. But we're going to show you how to use it on your machine and create some really interesting looking designs. The most important thing is not to be overwhelmed. It's actually pretty easy. Before you get started, you need two things. You need a specific foot for your machine and a certain kind of ruler. Now when it comes to specific feet for your machine, you want to check with your manufacturer and see if they have a foot that is preferred for ruler work. Basically, you want a thicker foot. You don't want anything that's too thin so that the ruler can slide over the foot and underneath the needle, which, trust me, is never a good thing. Now the ruler I'm going to work with today is the Versatool from Handy Quilter. It's one of their Handy Gadgets rulers, but really any ruler is going to work for you. The reason I like this one is it's nice and small. On a sit-down machine in which I'm moving the quilt, I don't need anything too big because I need to constantly be repositioning my hands. I also love how it has a curved area in the straight lines as well, so it's just nice and versatile, which is probably why it's named Versatool. Another thing you might want to consider is getting some kind of adhesive for the back of the ruler. Now since I am pushing the ruler down and using that to move the quilt, that little bit of stickiness is going to give me a lot of grip when it comes to moving. Now these rulers come with this little adhesive. You can buy Handy Grip or another kind of adhesive for the back, or you can look into sandpaper dots or double stick tape even. Just something that's going to help give it that extra little grip. Now that we've talked about the foot and the ruler, let's get to the fun part, the quilting. Okay, so I'm on my quilt and I'm ready to get started. The first thing I'm going to do is make sure I have my ruler properly positioned. Now here I have, again, my nice 1/4 inch thick ruler, and I'm going to position it snug against the foot of the machine. And what that's going to do is act as a nice guide. Now I'm not going to push it into the needle, and I'm not going to push it so that my hands are hurting. I'm just going to hold it nice and firmly in place. And I'm going to look and make sure that it's progressing in the direction I'd like. So if I wanted to quilt along this little seam right here, then I'm just going to make sure that it's about 1/4 inch all the way. Once I have it positioned and I'm ready to start, I'm going to push down on the ruler and use that ruler to help push the quilt the direction that I want it to go. And I'm also going to use this hand as well. So I'm using both hands. I'm going to push on the pedal and then just go. I'm moving slowly. There's really no reason to be in a rush here. I'm not trying to win any speed records. I'm just trying to keep it nice and somewhat straight and keeping my fingers out of the way. And you'll notice that my fingers are really far back from there because I do not want to get my finger under that needle. Now here I'm just demonstrating stitching in a ditch, which is really fun and easy to do. But you can do other things with these rulers, such as more complex designs, such as dot-to-dot designs, in which we create geometric designs. So what I'm going to do is, let's say I want to quilt a diagonal line from this corner to a point just about 1 inch or 1/2 inch inside that next corner. I'm just going to position the ruler knowing that I'm going to have 1/4 inch between the needle and the foot. So this is going to swing out about 1/4 inch more than I want that point to end. And I hope that's not too confusing, but basically I just need to take that into allowance when I'm coming up with my design. And then I'm going to move nice and smoothly until I get to that point. Now the great thing about rulers is I can work from any side of this foot, just as long as my fingers are safe and out of the way. So let's say now I want to move up to the next corner. I can just, instead of moving the whole quilt around, just reposition the ruler, line it up where I want it to go, and again, use that ruler to pull the quilt over, moving slowly. And let's go ahead and just finish up this design since we're right here. And then on back. Now if you find that diagonal lines are a little tricky for you, go ahead and change the orientation of the machine so that you're working more in a vertical or horizontal method. But what's great is, let's say you finish this and you want to switch right into some free motion quilting. You don't have to switch out a foot, you don't have to do anything different. You just move your ruler over to the side and go right to the free motion part. course, you could leave this out if you'd like, but I think that's what's kind of fun about rulers is you're able to combine the straight lines with the free motion quilting. And all the way to the other side. So remember, you can use these straight edges any side of the foot that you'd like. Just keep your fingers back so that you don't get your finger under the needle, and then move in a nice smooth motion. Now another thing I want to say, if you're having trouble getting those lines nice and straight, is make sure that your hands are always kind of in this position. This is where your most control is. You don't want to get to where your hands are over here, but you're quilting there. So don't be afraid to stop partway through and reposition your hands to where it feels comfortable. You don't have to keep going, you can stop and think it through. So like for instance, I could just do a little bit, I could reposition, breathe a little bit, and then go on to the next one. And that's pretty much it for using rulers on your home sewing machine or your sit-down long arm. For any questions or for tips and tricks on machine quilting, please visit my website, quiltingismytherapy.com.